Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addicts on a very, very delicious night. We have the entire team from Ghostech Paranormal with us tonight, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the one and only Jeff. We have Phil in the house, and Mark. How are we doing, fellas?
All good, thanks. Right, yeah, fine, thanks.
I am live. Yes, I am live. It's fine. I was just checking. We've had a few hiccups tonight. Still getting used to this live game. Jeff, I'm going to move you to the side. There you go, because obviously I'll have the logo above me. Boys, thank you so much for taking the time out for joining us tonight. It really means a lot. And Phil, you've literally gone back to work to do the interview?
I was in work at about 3:30 this morning, and been working all day. Whipped home, had some dinner, and come back. Unfortunately, where I live, it's not particularly suitable for doing this sort of thing. So the office is probably the quietest and brightest place.
No, I really appreciate it. Like I said, it didn't matter if the Coronation Street was on in the background.
There would have been Coronation Street. There would have been my other half walking past with a bottle of rum in her hand, asking if we're nearly finished.
So boys, I mean, Ghostech Paranormal. How long's we had you on brief before, Jeff? We had you on for an hour and a bit. Was it before?
Yeah.
And we were going to do a show last week with Andy Evans, who fell ill. But guys, first of all, I kind of want to know how you all got together. And before we go, Jeff, could you just explain for anybody who didn't see the interview before what Ghostech Paranormal actually is? For anybody who doesn't know.
Okay. Well, Ghostech Paranormal has been going for quite some time now, and our job is to help people investigate the paranormal. We don't charge anyone for our services. We pay for everything ourselves. If we have to stay in a hotel, petrol, food, we're just here to get the best evidence and also to help people. We don't want to make any money out of anyone's misery for what they're going through. So this is what we do. I'm not going to say it's a hobby. It's not a hobby for me. It's more than that. I guess it's a second job.
So how did the team become what it is today?
I remember being with my nephew Jason. Myself and Jason sort of started it all off many a year ago, and there was a gentleman that I knew who said, "I know a great place that's possibly haunted." Name of, I think it was Cliff Fort, and we went down there to meet him, and there was this other character with him called Phil, and we were standing on top of this fort in the middle of nowhere, and myself and Phil just got chatting, and Phil told me that he'd had a few experiences, and I think I said to Phil, "Hey, why don't you join the team?" And he did, didn't you, Phil? I think that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically, Ollie, I made the mistake of giving Jeff my phone number, and he's stalked me ever since. No, in all seriousness, no, we got on well straight away, and as Jeff mentioned, I'd had a couple of experiences which I couldn't explain, and it was an interest. Initially, I thought, well, I could help him with the camera work and stuff like that, but very quickly I got involved with actually doing EVP sessions and such like. And as Jeff said, I mean, for him, it's an absolute passion, and I know he'd give up his job, his main job, in a blink of an eye if he could, just to focus on this. For me, it's slightly different. I find it really interesting, and as I think I mentioned to you earlier, Ollie, I would describe myself as an open-minded skeptic, and I would always try and disprove stuff, which I think balances the team really well. But what I would say is, through doing this for, what is it, nearly 10 years now, Jeff? Must be about that.
Yeah, I mean, you've been with us about 10 years. I believe Mark about, what, 2.5, maybe 3?
Yeah.
Maybe 34 years.
Yeah, it's quite a long time now, Mark.
Yeah.
But, throughout that time, as I say, there's plenty of things which I can't explain, and it's certainly changed my perception of what's out there, really. And as Mark said, he joined 4 years ago, roughly, and the three of us seem to work really well together.
Yeah, so, I mean, with Mark, he was just a fan of Ghostech, and he just emailed me one day, saying he's really interested in it. Do we have any space, for him to join? And we said, okay, we'll give you a trial, see if you're up to it, and yeah. So this is it.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
I've noticed there has been a few faces in the past on Ghostech Paranormal that have kind of disappeared over time. Are we still all friends here?
Various reasons for that, isn't there? Really.
Yeah.
I think some of it is people's personal commitments have meant that they haven't been able to do it. Other people perhaps haven't worked out and haven't fitted into the team quite as well as the three of us work. We work in a very close way, and we do take quite a scientific approach to what we do. And I think you need to be of a certain character to do that, and not everybody's got that character. But yeah, everybody's still friends.
And you've got to be silly enough to go to some of the places we have as well.
Yes, yeah. Got a bit daring sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Jeff's asked me to come along next year for one of them.
That should be an eye-opener for you.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm looking forward to it at the same time. Before we get onto the subject in hand, which is shadow figures, and I wanted to, I think I know you've got a show coming out on Christmas Day, of all days. Sorry if I announced that too early, Jeff, but I think we need to announce it early for the people.
No, it's already been put out on my YouTube channel. We decided to, who wants to see the Wizard of Oz?
Thank you, Lou.
Who wants to see the Wizard of Oz when you can watch a ghost show? Why not? So, and it's the first time we're gonna stick out an episode on Christmas Day, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of people out there that would appreciate that. So why not?
Yeah, it's been a difficult year for everyone, isn't it? So it's just something different.
So this episode has like some of the. I was like, whoa. I remember when you showed me and the boys it on the private chat, Jeff. We were like, it put the willies into me a little bit. But before we get on to that, the meat and bones of this, the subject of this interview, can we start by telling the viewers what everybody's job is in Ghostech Paranormal? Like, Jeff, I know you're the lead investigator, Jeff. Yeah, well,
I've founded Ghostech, and I run the. Well, I say I run the team. I don't really. We all do in some sort of way. I mean, what I say doesn't always go. I say to the rest of the guys, what do you think? Should we do this next? Should we do that next? And we all just work together. I don't tell anyone what to do. I come up with ideas, and then Phil might say, well, why don't we do this that way? And Mark might say, well, what we can do it. It's just an agreement between all of us. So I'm not going to say that I run everything. That's not true at all.
Who puts the tech into Ghostech?
Well, I guess that would be Phil and our other colleague, Infrared Andy, who produces a lot of the equipment. But Phil comes up with a few little gadgets as well.
I make the most ridiculous gadgets out of bits of old drain pipe, old bits of electronics that I've ripped apart and stuff like that. Some of them have use. Some of them
like for drainage.
Some of them fail quite miserably. No, it's with regard to the tech. I mean, there's obviously the very well known bits of equipment which are very easily available. I do try and think up new ways of doing things. Firstly, and most importantly, to see if we can detect something which we wouldn't normally detect. But also, I think from a viewer's point of view, it can get a little bit repetitive if we're using the same equipment over and over. So by coming up with something different, which shows a different result, even if it's the same result, but it's presented in a different way, then I think that can add to the viewing experience as well. But the tech isn't just about the bits I make. I mean, Jeff, spent quite a lot of time with Infrared Andy, I believe, developing the SLS cam, which is the Stickman cam. That's works.
the thing that runs off the Xbox.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's something which I have played with in the past, not the Xbox, but the Stickman technology. But it uses an ODBC Studio, and the software on it, or at the time when I was using it, was flaky, to say the least. But underneath where I'm sat now is like my main workshop and storage area, and I actually have still got it set up. Looking that you've got an Xbox Connect thing looking down, and it did work, but the recording side of it, I think even now, Jeff, isn't it? It can be quite difficult to get it recording properly, but it has come on a long way since I played with it, and what Andy developed works really well.
Yeah, I mean the SLS cam that we're using now is a V2 high resolution cam, and we've also, as well as Stickman technology, it's now using a 3D monitoring system. So it's actually seeing everything in 3D, and it will pick up any figures that are not there. I haven't seen anyone use that before. So that's what we're using at the moment, and it seems to work really well.
Have you got any? I don't know if you've got anything right now on your computer, Jeff, because we don't need the audio for that, but just for the viewer because I was literally new to this. When I first saw your channel, I'd never seen this being done before, but I don't know if you've got anything that you can kind of show as an example. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. They just head over to Ghostech Paranormal and you'll see it. But this technology, what I didn't realize, and what I found the most intriguing, is you actually see this live, don't you? You see this figure move live. So you know that there's something in the vicinity of you that is moving, and it's not necessarily a Stickman shape, but it kind of shows you the movement and kind of what level it is at, the height. Would I be right by saying that?
Yeah. I mean, we've Phil was using it at one of our investigations, and I was in a hallway, and you actually see there was meant to be a child there, and we actually see a child come walking down the hallway towards me.
It's a smaller figure.
Yeah.
And at that time, you felt something on your arm, didn't you? And you could see the stick figure. It was almost like that.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it was touching me, and I said to Phil, I can feel static on my arms, and Phil says it's actually leaning out and touching you. So
I saw that.
Yeah.
You not only capture things that are on the floor, but we've also caught things on the wall, on the ceilings, and everything, haven't we, with that?
Yeah. So it's not easy to use by a long shot.
It burns batteries.
Yeah, I mean you're looking at 10. You put 10 batteries in, and you'll get 20 minutes. So at the moment we're sort of working out how we can extend. Because the thing is, with the SLS cam, you can set it up in a room and plug it in. That's fine. But if you want to move around with it, you're talking 10 Duracell batteries will burn 20 minutes like that. So we're trying to find ways around that where where we can move around and not worry about power. But that's what you get when you want a SLS cam, V2, high resolution. It's a lot of technology going on there, and it does burn up the energy on the batteries.
Well, I mean, for me at least, I mean, I don't know if any gamers watching this. I know the Kinect didn't do too well for Xbox, but at least it's getting used properly.
Yeah.
So the shadow figures, boys. You've recently done. I think it was earlier this year. Was it that you did? What's the name of the place, Jeff?
Petworth Chapel.
Yes, and you captured something quite remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go on to that, I'm going to give the viewers a brief look at a news article from the BBC that might explain to them why you went and investigated that. But Jeff, while I'm trying to load this up, if you wouldn't mind, just give us a brief. What made you kind of go after that investigation while I try and get this loaded up?
It was just somewhere, a lot of the time when things are quiet, I do some research just to try and find out if there's any places that we can investigate. And this place is out in Sussex, and it's an abandoned chapel. It's surrounded by a graveyard, and it just sits in the middle of this small little village. And I read the story that surrounds it, and it's quite a sad story actually. And I thought, with the reports that go on there to do with children playing, children laughing, voices heard, that type of thing, I thought it'd be great to, okay, let's go out there and see what this place is about. I'd never even knew it existed. So sorted out a time with the guys, and off we went to see what we could find.
I've got the BBC report ready. Guys, excuse me, but we're running on screen mirroring here, so it'll go a little bit funny. I can't seem to bring the actual link in, but we deal with what we've got. So it's going to go a little bit funny for a minute, but I will just show you the clip now.
On the 75th anniversary of that event, survivors, relatives of the dead and townsfolk today stage an act of remembrance. Sean Killick reports from Petworth.
A quiet Sussex town, an unlikely setting for a massed grave containing the bodies of 28 children. To most people, their story is unknown, but here at least it's not been forgotten. 75 years ago, Petworth Boys' School was destroyed after a German aircraft dropped its bombs, possibly targeting Canadian troops in the grounds of nearby Petworth House. Days later, a procession of lorries carried 28 small coffins through the town, and the Canadian troops helped carry them to the grave where the friends who died together were buried together. Today, school children lined the sides of the grave for a special ceremony attended by a handful of survivors.
I was buried for a time, and then I realised I was all right, and I struggled, and I got myself out, and the first thought, well, I'm going to run home then, and started to go up the road, but the headmaster's wife collared me and said I had to go into her house.
I can still see these boys, just as they were. I get a bit overwhelmed sometimes, thinking about it. It's a long time ago now, but they haven't altered. I can remember all of them.
Jean was 9 years old. Her brother Alfred was 10. He nearly didn't go to school that day. The weather was bad, and he'd just come out of hospital.
I know my mother tried to get my brother to stay at home, and he wouldn't. There was something at school he wanted to do.
So he wasn't going to go that day, possibly, because of the weather?
He wouldn't have done, no, but it was something special. So she made him take his dinner, and that was it.
What really came out of it was also the heroism of the people, the Canadians who came running across from the park, the soldiers, to try and help the vicar who hitched his cassock up and was there in the ruins and doing the last rites with the children, all of which he knew because they were in the choir and they were in the community. And, it's a real impact on the whole community. It was just devastation.
A generation too young to go to war died in their classroom. Today's children vowed they'll always be remembered. Sean Killick, BBC South Today, Petworth.
On the 7th,
It's extremely sad story, that. Yeah, I can see why you wanted to go there.
Yeah, it wasn't for. We wanted to know if that was true, that the children were still there. I mean, the size of the mass grave there is absolutely huge. It's ridiculous, and it was a bit of a weird one because it's children. A lot of children lost their lives for casualties of war, I guess. If you want to put it in that sort of way. But off we went. We needed to find out what was going on, and it is a very sad story.
And yet, you all had reports of things going on at this chapel beforehand.
Only through research that I'd done, because anyone can go there. It's a strange place because no one claims ownership to it. So it sort of just sits there in the middle of this little village. The chapel's there. There's hundreds and hundreds of graves there that date back hundreds of years. And there were reports of people seeing children in there. People saying that there was children that were laughing and giggling, but they couldn't see anyone. So why not? Let's go there and find out for ourselves. But what we came across was something completely different. Through research, I don't want to give too much away. That's the thing.
No, but we've got the imagery and the show, which I will be linking in here when it goes out on Christmas Day. For anybody that doesn't see it Christmas Day, it will be in the link. If you're watching this past Christmas Day, it will be in the link in the description. I
mean, so basically what happened was, it was on Tuesday the 29th of September. It was in 1942, and there was a lone German bomber coming in from the south. It was low cloud. There was no air raid warning given. The target for the bomber was Petworth House. Now, at Petworth House, there was something around 3,500 troops, some Canadian, some our own guys, but also there was a new amphibious tank, and it was a special Sherman tank that they were developing. So the target was Petworth House. And what actually happened was, as the bomber approached, it dropped his bombs. All the bombs missed, but one of the bombs deflected off a tree and went actually into the boys' school. So, you're looking at, I'm trying to think how many were actually in the school at the time.
It was between 70 and 80.
Well, there was
children, that was.
There were 80 children that should have been at the school. And 28 were killed, along with two of the one was a headmaster, one was a teacher's assistant. Some of the boys, I believe 7 of them, are still missing to this day, and in fact it was because they were just blown to bits. A lot of the children were only identified through their clothing, as they were blown across the street over a wall. And when you look at this grave, if you can imagine these parents, most of them, well, I say most of them, although they lost children, but some of them lost brothers, and you can see the brothers' names side by side. So yeah, I mean, it was what can you say? As I said before, casualties of war. But this chapel and everything was built in 1899 by what's his name, Lord Leconfield. In 1865, he owned the property. But what we didn't know, which we found out afterwards through Phil, and perhaps Phil explain about those maps, Phil.
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't realise how much research we do on the places we visit, but not just beforehand, but afterwards as well. And after we'd actually done the investigation, before production of the film work, I did a lot of digging on the old maps going back over sort of like 200 years. And that building was actually used as a morgue at one point, which we didn't know at the time when we did the investigation. So it's a strange place because the chapel itself is very small, and yet the graveyard is huge. But I think, again, through research, that graveyard was used sort of from quite a wide-ranging area. From different churches and such. They were all brought to that one place in Petworth. But yeah, so the research brought up that it was used as a morgue as well as a chapel. But I think, was it about, when was it closed, Jeff? Was it late 40s? They stopped using it. Was it about 47, something like that? Can you remember?
I think it was it October 1942?
Yeah, it was later than that, because that's when the bomb fell. But I thought the chapel was used to pass.
Oh, sorry, no, that was
the bomb was 42.
So sorry, October 1942 was when they done the burial for the mass grave.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I can't remember, Phil.
I think it was the late 40s that the chapel was ceased to be used as a chapel.
So you guys, you're in this chapel, you're doing your investigation, and I don't know if you've got the pictures ready, Jeff, because as we worked out before, I know I've got the pictures, but it kind of works out better if you screen share.
I will try. Let me see if I can.
This is where the tech fails in Ghostech.
Yeah, this is the StreamYard. I do like the platform though, but yeah. So you hear some. You've heard voices. You hear some voices. I was lucky enough to watch it early. Very good show, and I think I've watched nearly all your shows now. I did a binge back when a good friend of mine said you need to check out Ghostech Paranormal, and this is and I actually turned around to him and said, no, I don't like ghost channels. I said they're all full of this, the phonies, This is what I said, and this is no, you need to watch Ghostech. This is Ginger Steve that said this, by the way. Jeff, he said you need to watch Ghostech Paranormal, and he kept going at me. So I watched a few episodes. Said, you know what, this is really good. And but when I first, is this the first image coming up from us, Jeff? So without me going on, I'm sold on Ghostech Paranormal, but this is quite an unbelievable sighting that you've got here, Jeff. For anybody that's new to the channel that'll watch it, that doesn't know the history of you guys, that doesn't do clickbait at all. That sometimes you'll do a show and there's very little evidence that you show of anything because there's nothing for you to show because you're very real.
We present it as it is.
But I've seen the video of this, and I've seen you capture this on film in the video. So I've seen it early. It's going out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Break it down for us.
So this is inside the chapel. You will see this on film. We were taking full spectrum pictures inside the chapel. This is the first picture, and as you can see, there's Phil just standing there in the chapel. And then if you just bear with me 1 second, and then the next picture that I take, bear with me, is, if I can get it up, just bear with me 1 second.
Just don't get it in the wrong order.
It's full of surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the next picture, several seconds after I take this picture. And as you can see, everything is blurred out, but there's something black that seems to be coming up off the floor. It's coming up next to Phil.
I was going to say that. So when you take the picture, because I've seen the full show. So when you're taking this picture, you go, it's all blurred out. And did you not notice that though? It looked like you didn't notice the black.
the screen on the camera is very, very small. All I noticed was it was blurred, and I said to Phil, "Oh, this one's gone out of focus for some reason. Not sure why." So that was that one, and this was the one that you'll see for yourselves. This was the next picture that was just next to Phil, and it is absolutely amazing. It's probably one of our best captures of all time. There you go there. That's it there. It looks to me like something standing next to Phil. I can see an arm down one side. It looks like the other arm is reaching out next to Phil. And you've got to remember, these photos were taken probably about 20 seconds apart. There was another photo taken after this, which showed absolutely nothing. So that was some of the evidence that we caught at Petworth Chapel.
But you said to me, Jeff, you don't think that these things are ghosts.
Well, I said I don't think. I mean, I'm not sure what they are. I don't know if they're, if they are part of ghosts, if they're alien, or if there's something that's already here. That there's, they're my theories. I mean, I can't say if this is definitely a ghost, if it's an alien, if it's as some sort of race that's already here that just turns up, under the right circumstances, under the right filming. We're always capturing things like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of shadows.
If you don't mind bringing that back up, so for the bring it back up if you won't mind. We'll just keep it on for a bit, because I just literally, when you showed me that, and I will be honest with you, as much as we have become good friends and I speak to you a lot, I put it into Photoshop, because I'm like, is this guy winding me up? Yeah. I put it into Photoshop, and I'm not bad on Photoshop.
Ollie, in the past, when some of the evidence we've captured, I've phoned Jeff up and I've said to him, mate, I've known you for a long time. Yeah, you promised me that you haven't done anything to that, and I genuinely believe he hasn't. And like you, Ollie, I have put things in Photoshop to see whether there's any pixels and all the rest of it. And I trust Jeff implicitly. I don't believe he'd lie to me. And he's so passionate about the subject, to the point where he's said to me in the past, what do you think of this? It might be something he thinks is a voice. And I'll say, I cannot hear it. I think it's something else. Yeah. And he said, okay, I'll leave it out.
This is it. I mean, anybody that's watching this now that's never seen your channel, maybe never seen my channel, has just literally clicked on it. They're like, "Oh, come on!" That's what the majority of the public will say now, because we're that used to seeing people hoax stuff. But when you watch an episode of Ghostech, and you literally could, and don't take this the wrong way, because you could watch, say, 3 episodes, and you think, well, not really much happened there. We heard a few voices. We saw a really good investigation. We heard a lot of history about what's going on in the place. But then there's the episode that you do get, that you get the hard hitting stuff, and you don't just ram it down people's throats. And this is what you were saying, Jeff. Sorry, go on.
Something else about what happened here is that I say to Phil, even whilst I'm taking the pictures, this one's all gone out of focus. This looks really weird. And then when I took that photo, I actually say to Phil, whatever you do, Phil, don't move. I could actually see that when I did take that picture on there. I looked at it and I could see it. None of this is faked. We don't fake anything. Otherwise, what's the point? I don't have Photoshop. I haven't got it on my PC. I never have done. So I can't fake anything like this, even if I wanted to. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I just produce what we do. And the software that we use is Sony Vegas Pro 17 to do our films. I haven't got anything else to, as if people want to say that's a fake, that's down to them. But watch the episode and you'll see how it unfolds, and actually how it is live when it's going. That's not been done afterwards.
I mean, not to blow some of the episode here, but what I was surprised is that you didn't put this image right at the beginning of the episode, because you literally show this at the end. There is no, this is what I'm talking about with your channel. And we have become friends, Jeff, since we started speaking over a month ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no clickbait. What I'm used to seeing in one of these paranormal episodes is it'll show a lot of the good stuff to start off with, and then it'll get into the show. But you guys just play it as it happens.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, we're not out to, to get money out of people or anything like that. It's just the way we do things. This is the whole thing. We're just honest people out there to help people in a difficult situation. So, we're not interested in the money side of it. As I said to you before, we are appearing on Paranormal Caught on Camera. Something recently was going to be The Osbournes, We Want to Believe, Unexplained Files. With these guys, it's a TV show, and they do pay us for our episodes, which is fair enough, because we spend a lot of time and a lot of money, just to produce one episode. So for a TV show, I mean, they pay us to show clips of some of the evidence that we've got, but otherwise we don't accept money from anyone at all.
This is one of the first questions I asked you when me and you started speaking, Jeff. I said, "Where's the?" I said, "I'm a little bit curious here. How are you making money? Do you have a Patreon page? Do you have nothing? You guys are literally you self-fund. You need to get a Patreon page. I know a lot of people who actually would support that page. It might just even help out alone with fuel costs and things like that. But you need. I said, Jeff, I'll help you sort that out. You need to do it, because you'll be able to get out and about more often.
Well, if you think that's what we need, Ollie, then No,
I appreciate the fact that you don't, and I get it. This is not like, it's like Phil said earlier. I mean, this for you, what you started 10 years ago. This is very much a passion for you. But I mean, when you watch some of the shows, and there's some of the shows where we do see these things actually moving on video camera as well. I mean, you got the East, what's it called? The Pontefract, the 30.
The Black Monk House, 30 East Drive.
Something goes straight past the door.
That's right. Yeah,
and that's
that was good. That was good.
Was that captured when you were staying when you were out of the house, when you stay in the hotel?
We had finished the investigation for the night, and I think we packed up something like about 2 o'clock in the morning, and because we had a bit of a sort of half-hour drive back to our hotel, so we just left all the static cams running, and we then went back there the next morning. That's when Phil discovered that he had been scratched, and we knew nothing about the figure going past the door until maybe 3 or 4 days later, after I'd sat down and reviewed all the footage to see if there was anything caught. And there was movement caught, there was dragging caught, there was voices caught, but the main thing was a figure walking past the door.
And we caught shadow figures upstairs, didn't we? Sort of on the landing.
Yeah. So a lot was caught. We know that no one else, we had the keys to the door, but we know no one else was in the house, because we had static cameras filming throughout the whole night. No one could just, sneak in there and do something. So, yeah.
So I'm going to start off with Mark, because you're at the bottom and I keep covering up your face with people's comments.
I thought that.
What do you think of shadow figures? What do you think they are?
It's hard to say, really. I mean, I do think that we do go to another place when we pass on, and maybe, like Jeff said, and Phil said, if it's the right atmosphere, the right sort of filming, or the right time, we might be able to interact with things that have lived before. But in my experience, I do think there's spirit beings, maybe interdimensional, I don't know, but we've caught some really, really good ones over the years, and sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good, sometimes they can cause chaos, but it's just brilliant to catch them and actually see the fruits of your labour when you know there's something there and you've seen something with your own eyes, and the camera then catches it. It just backs it all up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I would feel if I was in the room and Jeff took a picture and then literally turned around and went, boys. You know, I mean, without spoiling too much, Phil, Jeff said to you when you were stood there, he said, Jeff, don't move.
Yes.
There's something next to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because for whatever reason, I'm normally fairly relaxed about stuff. So if I see something, if I get pushed or, hear a voice, whatever, I don't know whether it's because I'm used to it or whatever, but I'm fairly calm. And Jeff, on numerous occasions, has said, Phil, don't move. There's somebody stood next to you, or there's something just gone past you. Normally a shadow will go past and stuff. And I try and keep the dialogue, if I'm talking, going. And, try and communicate somehow with whatever's gone past. But you said about what
what do you think?
What do I feel? I perhaps a slightly different view to Mark, because we all have slightly different views on things. I think in my opinion, from what I've observed, there seems to be two sort of things that happen. One, it's almost like a replaying of event, and I know it's a very common theory that buildings somehow, store in the same way that we can record on tape and CD, etc. It's almost like an event being replayed, and you quite often get people claiming to have seen the same thing, and I think that is one thing when you see not so much a shadow figure, but we've recorded more real life figures, where you can actually, it looks like a person that's walked past, and you can actually see, almost the clothing and stuff like that. Shadow figures, the term ghost is a strange one. I suppose it's a bit like the term UFO. It can mean numerous things, and I think that's true with ghost. My personal opinion is I don't believe that it is the spirit of somebody who has passed away. That's my personal opinion.
This is the shadow figure.
This is the shadow figure, yeah. I don't believe it's that. I could be wrong, obviously, because nobody knows. However, we see enough of them, or have seen enough of them, to know that it is some form of being, whether it's from a different dimension, as some people believe, whether it's perhaps something demonic or something like, who knows? As I say, I've always done this to try and capture evidence, to try and find out more about it. And I'm still, even after doing it for this long, not convinced that when you see that it's actually a spirit of somebody who has passed. I think I can safely say there is something there, something exists. I've seen it with my own eyes. We've recorded it on film, but I'm not convinced. It's somebody who has lived on this earth. It's something else.
This is quite an interesting question. I've never heard this asked before, but do you think that spirits sleep or are awake 24/7 from Mr. D.B. Cooper?
From my point of view, from what I've just said, I don't necessarily think it's spirits of somebody who has lived. So I don't know how to answer that. Sorry, go on, Mark.
We've caught shadow figures when we've been sort of investigating in the daylight as well, haven't we? So going on with that, I would say that it's a 24/7 thing. It doesn't have to be the dead of night.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we do it at night is not because ghosts come out at night. it's because we have the technology to film in full spectrum, and it perhaps enables us to see things which we wouldn't see normally with our eyes. And during the day, it's very difficult to do that. So,
yeah, I mean, during the daytime, you've got everyone running around making noise. You've got all appliances on. Everyone's hustling and bustling around. But of a night time, when things die down, people go to sleep. They turn off everything. There's less interference with the equipment.
More controlled, isn't it? More controlled.
Yeah, I mean, with that question, about ghosts, do they sleep? I mean, I don't know if they sleep or not, but I suppose that there can be a spirit or a ghost in the house that is dormant, that is there, and people go in and conjure up these things and awake something that perhaps they shouldn't have done. Do they sleep? I don't know. I know there are places where things can lay dormant in there, and then people are going and maybe mess around with things they shouldn't do, and that awakes something. Just like using a Ouija board, you use that and you bring something through. So, yeah.
You must hear this word, this phrase around a lot, fifth dimensional beings, in the line of work that you do. But would you put it down to that?
As I tried to explain before, when we spoke, it's quite hard to explain that us as human beings, when we're born, our eyes all develop in the same way, and we, if the spectrum of our light is that long, we only see in that little bit, say in the middle. That's the way our eyes are developed. So what else is outside there that we can't see? What is actually around us? We can only see how our eyes have been developed as human beings, but what is on the outside that we can't see?
And with some of our equipment we've got, we can actually see outside of our own spectrum, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, we use the full spectrum cameras that allow us to see a little bit more. But as I say, what else is around us that we're not seeing?
This is interesting for me, because when you're talking about the spectrum that we see in, and I often wonder if there are things in colors if there's even colors that don't exist in our minds. Do you get what I mean by that? That there is something, these things maybe show up in some sort of spectrum that we literally can't, like you just said there, that we cannot see, but you can kind of feel that they're there. Yeah. But like with the technology that you're using, like the Connect, this, that, and the other, I mean, I don't know that technology goes straight over my head that you're using. But is there anything new that they're working on that that you can bring to the table to maybe get the evidence, that little bit more evidence?
There's one thing which I'd like to work on, but it's actually really quite hard to do in a portable way. There's one of the theories which I've got is that a lot of the voices are on a frequency that we can't hear because of everything it does, light, microwave, stuff we hear, etc., etc. It's all on one spectrum. Yeah, and it's just different parts of it. And I wonder whether a lot of the time we can't hear voices, but the recorders we use, some of the recorders we use will pick up voices because they're older recorders and they're not filtered like modern digital recorders. So basically it's picking up and recording voices that we might not be able to hear. When you play it back, you can hear it. So what I'd like to try and develop is the ability to record at a lot lower frequency, right down to sort of, the 10, 20 hertz, that sort of level. Because I think you'd pick up a lot of new voices at that level. Yeah, but you need some way of recording it and then converting it real time to a higher frequency. Now that's not an easy thing to do, because to listen at a very low frequency, you need big equipment. You know, you can't do it with a small microphone. You need to create. Going back to my drain pipes, Jeff, you do need, you know, the something quite large to actually pick up that very low frequency. Recording at high frequencies is a lot easier, and I've done some research on that, but didn't really get anywhere, didn't really pick anything up. So it's the low frequencies I'd like to look at.
So I'm a little bit concerned about time, because I know you definitely, Phil, because you're at work now and you got to travel back to home, because you've traveled back out to work to come and do this show. But one of the things that I want to touch on, because I want to get as many questions as I can in. And if for some reason you have to shoot at any point, because I will be after on, just say, guys, I'm out, you know. But what actually, and I know you got in touch, did you say 7 years ago with Jeff? 6 years ago?
Me, about 10 years ago.
10 years ago, sorry, I wasn't listening. My attention span's ridiculously shite. But what got you actually into the subject? What made you think, and what made you pick up that phone to Jeff?
Well, Jeff and I met. Yeah, Jeff and I, we met because I used to do urban exploring when I was younger and a bit more agile, and we met whilst I was doing that, and he'd come along to look at the place, and we got chatting and got into it. But my sort of earliest experience of seeing something unusual, I must have been about 12 or 13, and was sat in the living room with my mum at the time, and we both saw, to my right, to her left, we saw, and it sounds daft, a pair of feet walking across the room, just literally bare feet. They were solid, but stopped at the ankle, and they walked across the room just for a couple of seconds. And my mum looked at me, I looked at her, and she said, "Did you see that?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "What did you see?" I said, "A pair of feet." And she said, "That's exactly what I just saw." And that was my first ever thing that sort of got me thinking about, you know, what it was, what was out there, why were these things happening?
Are we talking like just like naked feet off?
Naked feet, bare feet, yeah, of an average size. I couldn't say whether they were male or female, because you know what it's like. Something happens in a blink of an eye. But it was just bare feet. But it was weird because it was just the bottom, it was just the feet up to the ankle. But it was, I can't explain. It wasn't like you could see the top of the ankle cut off. It didn't go blurry or anything like that. It was almost like if you saw somebody, it's like somebody walked under a door with a big gap.
Was it like the hand, but the foot version of Adam's Family?
Yeah, but without the top bit. Because as I say, it didn't look decapitated, if that. It didn't look cut off. It was very odd, and just probably about 4 steps, just for a couple of seconds, and they went. But I won't go on too much about it because it's probably a topic for another time. But the house we lived in, lots of strange things happened. We had, remember, just one example, a dinner party we had, and there was about 12 of us around the table. Again, I was only young, and the subject came up of the house, and strange things had been happening in it. And one of the guests there turned around and said it was a load of rubbish, you know, making it up and all this sort of thing. And with that, a picture flew off the wall. And I don't mean fell off the wall, it flew across the room. And you've never seen so many guests leave the house so quickly.
How old was you?
again, probably about 14, 15. So again, that's to answer your question. That's how I really got an interest in it. Yeah, and meeting Jeff was I don't know, chance or whatever. But yeah, it's been a good time.
Sometimes these things are meant to happen. You know, I'm a big believer in that. I've met a lot of people doing what I do that I will probably speak to them probably for the rest of my life now. I'll probably get Jeff ringing me when I'm like 55 saying,
oh, he'll stalk you the same way he does me.
And what about yourself, Mark? When did this all start for you? So forget the Ghostech, but when did this actually start, this interest?
From a very young age, really. I mean, I don't know if I've been sort of semi-sensitive for things, and kids do tend to see things that other people don't see. But I had a few experiences of seeing family members in spirit form, if you want to say, that I know had passed away, and your little mind just can't work it out. And I suppose that wanting to know followed me into my adulthood, and I've always liked, obviously, watching paranormal programs and things about UFOs and the extraterrestrial and things like that. And so, yeah, it started for me at a young age for an interest and wanting to know the reason why and how we see these things, or sometimes we don't. And yeah, basically one day I was getting bored watching YouTube of all the regular things and stumbled across Ghostech. And like yourself, Ollie, I binged watched every episode up until the latest one, and I tracked Jeff down through Facebook and sent him a lengthy message, and lo and behold, he messaged me back a couple of weeks later, and we got talking, and yeah, the rest is history now. But I love working with these two. As I say, we've had a fair few members over the years I've been in, and it always seems to come back to the same three, which is me, Phil, and Jeff, and we seem to bounce off each other. We know what each other's doing and thinking, and how we're going to do things. So it's just natural chemistry, really, and I love it.
Don't take this the wrong way, Matt, but I mean, you're the one that gets fingered a lot, aren't you? You know, prodded by
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. I'm off. I'm having none of this.
They always seem to pick on you. Literally. You could. I think it's you in one of them where your shirt actually. Is it you? There's one where your shirt where the shirt. It comes out.
I'm not sure whether that's Jeff with the shirt, but I don't know if it's because I open myself up to wanting to be manhandled or woman handled or children handled.
I just like to say it's because I normally turn around and say, "Let me know you're here." Poke Mark.
Yeah.
Yes, I've noticed that.
I usually get put into the darkest hole for the longest time, so I don't know if it's because I open myself up to these sort of things, and I'm willing for it to happen to me instead of being sort of guarded. I maybe because I open myself up.
I think Phil's nailed it on the head there. It's because they say it's like Jeff going and Phil like, Mark, stand there. And then there's Phil on the I don't know what they call it, what's it called, the little spectrum thing.
Oh, on the little digital recorder. Yeah.
If
you can hear me, just prod Mark and
yeah. Even it's happened even when I've not been in the same room as them. But we've done things where we've sort of asked for something to happen to someone, and they could be on a different floor, and they come back after and say they got touched, and I say, well, yeah, we have asked for that, so you don't even have to be close. It's pretty strange, really. But yeah, it all seems to be me. They volunteer to be touched.
or go into the worst, darkest place out there. Jeff and I sometimes have a little powwow about it. It's like, we'll get Mark to go in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going in there on my own.
30 East Drive. I went in the coal shed for 30 minutes where the father had his profound experience that he never would talk about, and having known what happened in there, I sort of had a pretense of what might happen, but it was still bizarre. And I just thought I was so lucky to be able to be in that position, to be able to be in that coal shed where all this stuff had happened. And I wouldn't say I was scared. I was thinking to myself, what if something really bad does happen? But I never get scared to the point where I think I'm going to kick the door off its hinges in a minute or something and run off, because we're not there for that. We're there to try and get have experiences and get the evidence to put out to the guys that watch our show.
Well, when you're up against the camera in that coal shed, it is very much like a Blair Witch moment. And you're right. You're right.
Well, I don't know if you've watched the episode where we Mare Hill Mines, where Phil and another investigator who's not with us now, Clive, had gone down this real deep cavern Jeff left me on my own in the middle of these mines, and he'd gone outside to get some shots, and I started having rocks thrown at me, probably basketball-sized rocks that I could hear falling by me. And you see me by the camera, and I was huddled into a corner because I thought if one of these hit me on the head or even hit me on the leg or the back, I'd be sparko. And I was so happy when Jeff came back in, and I was telling him of what had been going on, and he was looking at me as if I was stupid. And then it started happening when he was there. But yeah, it is crazy sometimes. It really is.
Mark is definitely the bravest member of the team.
Yeah.
Or
the stupidest member of the team, should I say?
So Jeff, this is Chris down below at the Hobber Mallow. You might be able to answer this one. Can you see it on the screen, Jeff?
Yeah. Do the team think that talking about paranormal activity can stir the spirits up? I have known of cases of that, with people sitting down in a room and just talking about, maybe the building. And in fact, it was a gentleman that I know that I was speaking to last week. He told me the story before, and he said they were sitting down around a table in this office that's in the basement, and they were talking about things, how old the building was, and they started to hear knocking on some of the wood surfaces and things like that. So yeah, I do think that I've myself brought things home with me, not intentionally, but obviously I did. And I think the reason that happens is because you believe in it. They know this is what we're trying to do, and they think, hey, maybe I can be in contact with this guy. Maybe he can hear what I'm saying. Maybe he can help me. So I do believe that. It can stir things up.
Yeah, and you can also rile things up when you're in places. If you start getting a bit hot-headed when you're asking your questions, I definitely believe that by talking or sometimes provoking, it can stir things up. To be quite honest, I don't know about you, Phil and Jeff, but yeah, like Jeff just said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like going down the road of provoking deliberately. I try not to do that, but there are occasions where something has happened which could be construed as quite aggressive towards you. And at that point, then your tone changes and you get a little bit more forthright with your questioning.
Yeah,
I think it depends on what you're dealing with. And when we was dealing with that young girl that used the Ouija board, it's spelled out Zozo demon. That's what it said, the Zozo demon. That's what she brought through. She was getting scratched and everything like that. And when you know that you've got something like that to deal with, then you do go in. You go in. I won't say aggressively, but you're going forcefully.
Yeah, you tell it it's time to go,
and it can't attach itself to you and things like that. You've got to be assertive with these things, not show weakness.
And if it's a case where you're dealing with a tragedy, just like Petworth Chapel with the children, you go in there really nice, and it's a sad situation, and you ask nice questions, and you can ask all sorts of things, but you're not going to be forceful, aggressive, anything like that. You're there to speak to the children to see if they are there,
So when you're doing these investigations, do you ever think? So I'm assuming that when you're doing it, you think, you know what, it's gonna be interesting to make a great video of this. But does it ever become personal? Does it ever become where that you've got a I'm going to say a guest then, but you've got somebody who's got in contact with you guys, and it's become a little bit more than just an investigation.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, go on, Jeff.
I would say, I guess that would sort of aim at our investigations at Stamford Street. That become more than just an investigation. That's still continuing to this day at the moment. And it's something that I always keep in touch with to make sure how things are going, how people are getting on. But we do that quite a lot, once we finish an investigation, we just don't pack up our stuff and off we go. We all try and keep in contact with the people.
You can't go when somebody's asked you. It's different. The types of investigation which we do. Sometimes we go out specifically, like at the chapel. We're going out to do an investigation, but not often, but sometimes it's people contacting us and saying, "Look, we've got a problem." Well, that's completely different. You can't just go in, produce evidence, and then say, "Well, there you go. We're off now." Because that could make them worse. I mean, I think with the investigation Jeff's talking about, there's a guy who is suffering quite badly. He's not just from what's going on in his place, but also from grief as well.
Health-wise as well.
And health-wise, that's somebody who needs continued support, not just from us. He needs support from other people as well, and that's something which you can help him with.
Marcus has become quite a friend to you, and Jeff, really.
Yeah, we keep in contact every couple of days. He's at the church in there looking after him. He's got a very famous psychic medium looking after him at the moment, trying to sort of tidy up some loose ends. So, and we're still seeing how that goes. I mean, I think it was quite some time ago that me and Phil first went there. Then we've done a second investigation there. And then there has been a third investigation there that the people don't know. That Stamford Street Revisited will be shown next year. And the situation is still ongoing at the moment, but I'm sure it will have a good ending. I'm doing, even now, I'm still behind the scenes. I'm still helping the gentleman out, having people contact him. Because we need to get rid of whatever is there that's attacking him and making his life a misery.
Yeah, like Phil said, each investigation's different, but we're not one of these. If it's a personal investigation, just go in, get our evidence, say wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and leave afterwards because we've got the evidence. Just for the glory of it, Jeff personally sometimes we try and keep in contact with these people because it's like an after counselling, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
Not saying
I think that's nice. I think that.
The other thing is sometimes when you go in, people believe that there's something going on, and you can give them reassurance that actually there isn't. And it's other things in their life which are giving them the stress that are making them feel the way they are. So, we're not pretending to be counsellors or anything like that, but sometimes we can give reassurance that the place they're in is safe. It is a nice place to live, and there's nothing there that's going to harm them.
So, Phil, are you saying that you've been out to do investigations before, and you said, "Look, listen, there's nothing going on here."
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
your marriage isn't working. That's the problem.
Well, I don't think I would perhaps say it quite like that, but no, there are some people who may have lost someone who are grieving or whatever. There may be somebody who's just hearing stuff in the night and not realizing that it is just the house moving, etc. Doesn't necessarily make a good episode, but it gives somebody the reassurance that they're not being haunted.
I think this is a blinder of a question, but how does somebody get in touch with you? English Andy says.
Jeff, how did it? Well, I suppose that's a good point. Well, we're in the yellow pages. At the end of
Jeff, bear in mind, most of my subscribers are from the States.
I suppose that is a good point. We used to put it out at the end of our episodes once the titles had gone up, but no one was ever contacting us, to be quite honest. And then I put out my mobile phone number, and still
everybody
no one
contacted you.
To be fair, I did have a few phone calls, but mostly you could hear the pub behind them as they were getting drunk. So no, maybe that is a good point. That we should put out another email address or something for people to contact us. I don't know. Have you actually got it at all?
It's linked below. It is in the description, guys. Go check out Ghostech Paranormal.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, if anyone wants to contact us,
spam them if you've got something going on in your house.
Yeah, I enjoy the house ones because they are a little bit more personal, if you know what I mean. And we've had some crazy stuff happen in houses, and we'd love to do a lot more. And I suppose with yourself, Ollie, is getting us out there and things like that. We might have a lot more people get hold of us now.
To be fair, if people subscribe to our channel, obviously you can leave a message for me on our YouTube channel. A lot of people do, and I get in touch with people that way. So if you've got anything to say, anything to ask us, just drop a message in the community box, and we can contact you that way.
Yeah, with regard to your subscribers in the States, even if they have a problem, contact us anyway, because even if it's a case of talking to them via email or as we're doing now, whatever, then if we can offer some assistance, then
or they could pay for your travel. I'm just putting that one out there.
Yeah, well, I think that might be optimism, but whatever.
Yeah. We're available, guys, but it's just the COVID stopping everything at the moment, isn't it? Really?
Yes, that's true.
Well, I'm just a little bit conscious of time because Phil, I know you've got to get off, haven't you, Phil?
Oh, I'm having a second wind now.
Yeah.
Listen, I can go. I can go as long as you guys want to go for, but I don't want any of you to, if you get in, you got to get home. That's it. Because I know you've, especially you, Phil, you've drove to work to come on here. So yeah, it's I really do appreciate that. But for me, I mean, one of the things that you guys seem to be bringing home more than anything is I mean, I showed this to my dad, and even he seemed a little bit like, and he's normally, I show you something, he's it's a load of all shite. That's exactly what he'll say. But
luckily, my dad's into it.
When I show your episodes to people, they're like, "Well, hang about this is interesting."
Yeah,
you're not doing the same as the who are the other guys? I don't watch ghost channels. Only you guys, but there's the guy.
You've got Ghost Adventures, Ghost Asylum, Ghost Hunters. Most Haunted, Paranormal Lockdown, Paranormal Cops, Ghost Lab. I mean, Paranormal Caught on Camera. I mean, hey, how many do you want?
There's a lot of television.
I've been watching quite a lot of the amateur ghost hunters, mostly American, on YouTube lately, and I've got to say there's some really good ones out there, and I'd like to get in contact with a few of them, but I won't mention any names at the moment.
You can name drop here, it doesn't matter.
Well, there's Twin Paranormal. They're just two twins and a couple of their mates that go and investigate these different places, and it's much like us. I mean, what you see is what you get with them. They're really honest. They don't mess about. There's another one called The Haunted Side, where that's just two guys. I mean, there's quite a lot of them. I mean, I've stopped watching quite a lot of the mainstream ones now because I've seen most of them, or they're getting mostly the same. But for people like ourselves who do it, well, I suppose it's not on an amateur level, but there's a lot of good people doing investigations out there.
So to put it in the most polite possible way, who are the dickheads?
What are you trying to ruin us?
can't say, but you've mentioned one of them, probably the most famous one that started it.
Yeah, I think
with a long leather coat.
I think you know what, over the years, I mean, I know thousands upon thousands of people like Most Haunted. Yeah. I absolutely hate it. I don't hate it. It makes me laugh. Simple because, you know, these people are not walking around with digital recorders. They're not using full spectrum cameras. They go inside a place to scream, cry, and run away.
With a big film crew.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that they did go into 30 East Drive, the Black Monk House, and afterwards they all had to add time out because it was too scary for them. They was very traumatized from the experience in there, apparently. But that's what happens when you have a presenter that used to be on Blue Peter making Tracy Island out of sticky back plastic and things like that. You know, I don't know why. And when they even, you know, sent them to America to Waverly Hills, I'd love to go there, but they paid for all that, and you know, they were crying because the door closed. That's what you're there for. You've just filmed a piece of paranormal activity where a door closed by itself, and you're crying.
Yeah.
So please, you know, take this crap off our TVs and give it to someone or some team that are committed to doing that. I'm not saying give it to me, but give it to someone.
When you talk about East Drive,
sorry,
I was just going to say, Phil, when you turned up at East Drive the next morning, you were like, "Oh, I got scratched last night."
Yeah, that scratch. I didn't notice it because I didn't feel it at the time. But it's when I got back to the hotel room, I was going to have a shower. I took my top off, and I had a scratch probably about 6 or 7 inches long. Yeah, down the side, my right hand side of my torso, and it was a deep scratch. And you know what? 6 months later, what was happening? The scratch would disappear, and it would come back again. It took more than 6 months for that scratch to disappear, and it would go, and then all of a sudden it would be back again, as severe as it was. It was a deep scratch. Weird it was.
It's things like physical attacks and that you just can't explain. I mean, how does it happen? We still don't know, but it happens to us on a regular basis, and that's what we're out there trying to work out ourselves. And
one of the sorry, go on, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that if you're in any of these locations and you get scratched or bitten, which is that's coming up next year on an episode. But as far as I'm concerned, if anything wants to scratch you or bite you, then you're dealing with something nasty. That's not just trying to get your attention. And again, that's what 30 East Drive, the Black Monk House, that's what it's all about. It is classed the most evil poltergeist location, some people say in the world, but it is 100% in Europe. It's a very nasty place, and when it wants to show itself in that way, it will do. And that's why I've said to Ollie that if you do come with us next year, we will be sleeping there the night. We'll be spending several nights there. We want Ollie to spend the first night there with us as well. And
bring some extra underwear, Ollie.
Yeah,
I'll bring the beers, boys. No, we're not allowed.
And as I say, believe it or not, Ollie, you will have to sign a waiver that that does state if anything happens to you, then you cannot sue the owners because, you know, apparently things get thrown at you. And even on Most Haunted, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a knife sticking out of the couch. And if you imagine walking around in the dark and taking a seat on a couch and you get a knife going right the way through your leg. So bear that in mind.
We were talking about that knife, Jeff, in a private chat, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. You probably don't want to say because it's you probably shouldn't speak about the competition, but you know,
that is
come on, a knife popping out of the couch.
that is not competition. Please do not.
Okay, sorry, I apologize.
Compare us to that show. That is not competition. The only reason they're on there is for entertainment. They were caught cheating, and that's why they were kicked off of Channel 4 because of the cheating that went on. I'm not sure if it was all cheating or not, but as I said to you before, when these big TV companies pay a lot of money for a crew to go in to investigate a place, if you get no evidence, they end up faking it to make a show out of it. Unfortunately, with us, if we do an investigation, you see what you get, and if nothing happens, nothing happens. If there's very little that happens, very little happens. That's it. It still gets produced into a show.
I don't know if we spoke about this on the last show, but you guys got offered a show and you turned it down because they wanted to put in the disclaimer for entertainment purposes only. Am I right by that?
Yeah, that was many a year ago. A TV show wanted to show a few of our episodes and wanted to put in, this show is for entertainment purposes only. And I said, well, it's not. I do not travel all over the place, spend our own money, all our own time, sit down for 2-3 weeks producing an episode for you to put, this is for entertainment purposes only. Now, I believe the reason they want to do that is because if people do not believe in ghosts or spirits or anything paranormal, that's why they put that up. So I said, well, you don't put that up at the beginning of songs of praise or something to do with singing in the church, because there are people that don't agree with that either. But you do not put up, this is for entertainment purposes only. So we argued for quite a few weeks, and I just wouldn't give in. I stood my ground and I said, no, sorry. And that was it. I wouldn't give in. We are not entertainment. We are not entertainment. We don't do this for fun. You know, we're not saying, oh, what should we do today, Mark? Oh, let's call Phil. Let's go 300 miles up to Scotland and have a look at a castle. What for? I don't know. We've got nothing to do. It's going to cost us. It's going to cost us £1,000, but hey, we got nothing else to do. Let's do some entertainment. Yeah, let's go to Scotland. You know, what are you, nuts?
When's this castle? When's the castle? Is the castle still on? We were speaking about this.
Oh, some Breville's Castle in Gloucestershire, England. Yeah, it is still on. It's a 3-night lockdown. The castle is all ours, but because of what's gone on over this last year, it stopped us from getting there. Where hopefully we can get there sometime next year. We're looking at maybe February at the moment, but it just depends on what the government's restrictions are. You know, because Mark, he's up in Hereford. And then Phil is up in Maidstone, Kent, up that way, and I'm down in Surrey, Croydon. So we're all in different parts of the country. So even if one of us is in tier 3 or tier 2, we can't get into each other's cars or anything. So it's all on hold. We've still got the investigation ready to go. So we've still got the castle. We're still looking into 30 East Drive, the Black Monk House, for us all to get up there. So yeah, it's just, you know, getting Christmas out the way, and hopefully restrictions will be lifted, and then, you know, once things start getting back to normal, we can get up there. But we're so looking forward to this castle. You know, it's three nights lockdown. We got the whole place to ourselves. We're going to be sleeping there. Again, Mark put his hand up and said, I have the haunted bed next to the dungeon where people complained of the sheets being pulled off and the bed being moved while they're sleeping.
I was volunteered, wasn't I?
I thought we weren't going to mention it to him until the day.
Well, I think it was because that bed is a double bed, and you thought, oh, I like the sound of that. But you know, so I don't know how much sleep you're going to get. But you've got I mean, me and Phil will be in 2 other separate rooms. We'll have to sleep in bunk beds, but we'll all be separated up. We'll have the cameras running. We'll probably have about 15 cameras running that night, and it will be 24/7 recording. And it's going to be brilliant because it's meant to be the most haunted castle in England, and it's built in 1075, I believe. So it's going to be great fun.
It'd be good to see you guys live stream from there. You know, even if it's just off a mobile phone for 10 minutes, just to kind of like
get in the mode, like
I don't think we'll be able to get any Wi-Fi inside a castle from 1075.
You may get 4G. I don't know.
If we've got electricity, to be honest, we probably do £2,000 worth of batteries.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to go and get my charger. I'll be back in a minute.
No worries, mate. So do you ever kind of like see ghost? Do you ever I know you do it for the love of it, but you kind of have a plan of where you want it to go.
How do you mean? What, during an investigation, or where we're going ahead now?
The direction that you want it to go, because you've massively gained in subscribers. I mean, you're at 13,000 now. I think the last time I looked, you were at 12. So you've gained over 1,000 within a few weeks.
It's going up slowly. People are sort of trying to work out.
Jeff, don't knock it. I want them subscribers. I'll have some. Send them my way.
People keep asking, why haven't we got, thousands upon thousands more of subscribers? I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know. Please tell us then, Ollie.
There's no clickbait. Every one of your thumbnails is the same. You put the same thumbnail for. I mean, I appreciate it, because me as a viewer and all of my guys is looking at your stuff. There's not one of your videos that shows any. I mean, I bet the video that's coming out. Oh my word! I bet the video that's coming out at Christmas time does not have the thumbnail that I've just used for this video. I bet it's just got you guys. It's the same. You use the same thumbnail, and this is no disrespect to you guys at all. And what I'm saying to you is there's zero thumbnail, zero clickbait. And at the beginning of your show, you tell the history of it, and then probably near the end of the show, something will happen where Mark's got a ghost, like putting his hand in his pocket or whatever, And this is you say this stuff till the end.
I'm glad you said pocket.
Yeah, I was wondering what he was going to say.
But do you know what I mean? There's no kind of like. My wife's going to shout at me. I'm just realizing I'm shouting. There's no kind of like, this is what you're going to get. And then, but when the show gets going, it's like, holy shit, did that just happen? Did that just happen? But I know you do this. We spoke, Jeff, and I know you. This is the way that the show is done on purpose, because you don't want to, like, you don't want to be that. You want to be different from the other channels. That I respect.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, we're not, as I said, we're not out to earn money. I mean, you said that maybe people would like to donate money. I mean, maybe we can look into that. I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, that's not what we do it for. But I guess we could always try and set up something. Yeah, why not?
I think you should probably do a Patreon where you could maybe even show them, like you've shown myself, the Christmas show. You could show them maybe some shows early. They get things like that. They get perks of that sort of perk. But I mean, at least if it covers you, I know how much you guys are spending to do these investigations. It's costing sometimes it's costing holiday money. That you could be quite happily going off for the weekend with the missus or whatever.
I haven't got a partner, so
yeah, no, that's a different story, Jeff. You're welcome to advertise on here.
Everyone runs a mile because of paranormal.
Tell the story.
No. I think I think at the end of the day, it's us not asking for money. I mean, to be fair, as I say, we do get paid from the TV channels that do want to show our stuff, and the money that we get from that, it goes straight back into equipment, batteries, traveling, our next investigation. That's where it goes to. It gets used for us to carry on investigating. It doesn't go in our pockets and we all go down the road to the pub or out to a restaurant.
Ourselves out of it.
No, it's always pay for somewhere to go or equipment, upgrading the equipment and stuff like that. So yeah.
But I mean, as I say, I think you know, with all the money side of it, I think it sort of just goes to show, and it goes to prove that we are here, you know, to do a professional job, to help people, and we're not out to sort of scam people out of money, you know, to get money out of them, to do an investigation.
And it shows in the work that you're doing, and I think you keep. I mean, you've got 13,000 subscribers. Like I say, a month ago I looked. Less than a month ago, it was at 12. So you've gained 1,000 subscribers in less than a month. So that's good going. That's growing. That's growing fast.
Yeah, I think it's word of mouth, and obviously when people see us on these other shows like Paranormal Caught on Camera, that's on there. We've been on there quite a few times now, and obviously if this Meet the Osbournes show kicks off and The Unexplained, I mean, when people see that, they find out who we are, and they can find us on YouTube, and the word sort of spreads around, doesn't it?
So
someone's just put on there, Jeff, that you look like Patrick Stewart.
Who?
Someone just said that. Am I the only one that think Jeff looks like Patrick Stewart?
Who said that?
Philip Blair said, "Am I the only one thinking Jeff looks like Patrick Stewart?" I never thought about it like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good compliment, that.
I wish you had
Engage. No, I'm not that old, am I? I'm not grey.
No, not yet.
But it could be worse. Someone else said that I looked like Rolf Harris the other week, and that didn't go down too well with me.
We've got to go down that route.
No, that's not.
As soon as you mention them names, the channel just goes. So the next plan is that the castle. That's the next big investigation.
That's the one we're trying to get to, but every time we plan it, and the castle arranges to for us to come up there and where we're going to go and what we're going to do and what we need, and then Boris comes out with a new rule that completely ruins it for us all. So it's all on hold. The next time that we can get in there would be sometime in the beginning of February. If it doesn't go ahead, we're looking at the end of next year.
Each drive will hopefully come up before that, then, won't it?
Again, it just depends on the rules and everything of the government. So we're just waiting to see when things can, gets a bit relaxed and everyone's happy and things calm down. And that's going to be it. So like Christmas Day now, the Petworth Chapel episode will be the last one for this year. And then we're just going to have to wait to see, how the restrictions go for next year.
We've got a church as well in Sussex, which we've spent ages doing the research on. We've been down. Have we been down there twice? Haven't we, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
We've interviewed people that own the property next to it. We've dug out maps. We've found old photographs nowhere online. So we've done all the legwork. We can't go and do the investigation.
No.
Yeah, it's we've been there before. It's called Bedham Church, and it's a church that sits out in the middle of nowhere, and it's a great place. It's got some good haunted stuff going on there, but this time our research, we had spent a hell of a long time over it, contacting people that have written books, who have got pictures of the church, pictures that have never ever been seen before. We've been interviewing people, and we've got all this stuff together. We was ready to go, and we booked up our hotels and we went down there, and it just poured with rain because this location is outside, and it would have just ruined all of the cameras and everything else. So we've put this on hold till next year as well. But obviously with the tier system that's in, I can't get into Phil's car. He can't get into Mark's car. Mark can't get into anyone, So
there's no hotels open anywhere. So
yeah, so
a nightmare.
We have got investigations. They are ready to go, but we just can't get to them at the moment.
We've still got. Don't worry, guys, because we've still got investigations that we can show after Christmas. But like Jeff says, we're eagerly awaiting what the news is going to be on the virus, so we can start some new recording.
Yeah, you've kind of like, you've saved it, haven't you? You've saved the stuff and you've held back some of the stuff because you thought, you know what?
I need to, maybe I need to make it clear to everyone. I mean, I don't know how many of our fans are tuning in looking at this, but it's really hard to explain, but I'm going to try and do it the best. You know, I work a full-time job. Mark does, Phil does over there. We all have our jobs, and outside this job, you know, our main jobs, we do this investigating. Now, people, you know, I've said many times, oh, can't you show an episode a week? You know, we're not on TV like Ghost Adventures that are millionaires, where that's just all we do. You know, if a TV company wants to pay us all like $5,000 each a month, we'll do it every night, you know, and we won't have to worry about anything. But unfortunately, it doesn't work out like that. You know, we do our best, and that's why we show our episodes every 2 weeks. The simple fact is, you know, I've got 6 episodes held back that are ready to be aired. And if I was to, say, show those 6 episodes over the next month or two, we'd run out. And then what would that mean would be waiting for everything to go back to normal. We'd go out and do an investigation, and I have to sit down, you know, for like 2-3 weeks producing an episode to get it together. And if we was to do that, you know, things would just fall apart. You wouldn't be seeing a Ghostech Paranormal episode every 2 weeks. It might be every 2 months. And that's why we don't want to, you know, these episodes we got set aside. That's why we keep them. And that's why sometimes we take a 2-month break so we can do more investigating, more filming to get those produced so they're all ready. So, you know, that's why you don't see us every week, and we take a few months break. It's just so we can get the episodes together, so we can keep it rolling, so to keep you all happy, because we don't want to lose our fans, and that's why we do it that way.
Well, Tiberius here, Gary, has just said, Jeff, that you know, when you're down doing the East Drive, hopefully, I don't know if you've shown Phil and Mark my mum's place, we may be able to get in there, which is the old mill where I live, which is over 200 years old. So that might be good. The only thing is getting my dad out and him not knowing that people are in his house, because he's just a little bit of a weirdo like that. But sorry, Dad, if you're watching this. I don't want these bloody people in my house.
Jeff did mention something about that. Yeah.
Tell him it's not Yvette Fielding. You've got proper paranormal investigators coming in. What's the matter with the man?
We're not Ghostbusters with what you call it, toasters, and we throw them out along the floor to catch the ghosts and that. We do a thorough job.
So before we finish the show, and I hope you boys will all come on again in the future, but can you just bring up that shadow figure again for us, Jeff? Because I just want you to talk about the show that's coming out at Christmas Day, which is a little bit unusual one for YouTube, for a YouTuber to put for YouTubers, 3 YouTubers to put a show out on Christmas Day. Why are you putting it on Christmas Day, Jeff?
Why am I putting it on Christmas Day? Yeah, I mean, I think because there's not a lot of programs that are going to come out on Christmas Day that are going to be of that nature, and I think, you know, I think people will enjoy a good paranormal investigation episode on Christmas Day. You know, perhaps they don't want to see the Wizard of Oz or anything like that. You know, and the usual stuff, the usual repeats. So yeah. So this is special for our fans. Why not? They can watch it anytime. So, you know, Christmas, yeah, share it with your family, share it with your kids, have your dinner, and, you know, have a few beers, do whatever you want to do. And when things get a bit quiet and the kids go to bed, hey, watch a bit of paranormal with Ghostech Paranormal. Our Petworth Chapel episode will be there, and I don't know if there's anyone else that's going to do that on Christmas Day. So yeah, I think it'll be a little bit different for a change.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be careful with this episode with my kids because I probably wouldn't show my kids this episode because it would probably terrify them. I mean, the episodes, I'm not going to give anything away because I've watched it early and I feel really privileged for watching it early. But I'll be honest with you, it gave me the willies a little bit. It really did, especially when this happened, and it's just the way it happens. Because it's all right looking at this image now, but when you see the way it happens in the video when you're filming it, it's just a little bit like, oh.
And also, you know, it's a very sad episode because of the history behind it with all the school children that died on that day. The history behind it is, you know, obviously it's quite emotional, and it's worth seeing it just for the history on it. I mean, what we caught there, was we didn't have anything nasty. So, you know, we did get a few voices. There was some tugging on coats and things like that, but there was nothing nasty there. And that was the main thing. We didn't get any voices of children saying, "Oh, please help me," or anything like that. So I guess they're all at rest and they're all peaceful. But the history side of it is absolutely mind-boggling. And I think people should just watch it because of the history, because this is something that happened, and a lot of families were devastated. You know, their whole lives were ruined. And it's worth seeing just for that, you know, just to see what really took place back in them days. You know, we're going through a period now of, well, I don't want to say the word, just in case, but we're going through a period now, and it's been a year sort of thing coming up soon, and everyone's moaning about this. Oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. Hey, you know, these people went through this. People went through 2 world wars, lost family, lost children, you know, and we think we've got it bad, you know. So, you know, have a look at the episode, have a look at the history, and maybe it'll make you feel a bit better about being locked down. That's what I'm going to say, you know.
Well said, Jeff. Well said. I mean, before we do go, because we've been going now for well over an hour and a half. This actual shadow figure, do you think that has anything to do with what happened?
I believe it was quite weird actually, because when we got there, Mark and Phil were inside the chapel, standing near to the doorway, and I walked out of the doorway with a static cam. It was still daylight, to get a position to film the front of the chapel in case anything happened. And I heard a man speak, saying along the lines of, "What are you doing here?" or "Why are you here?" Not only once but twice. And I stopped. I'm looking around. I can't see anyone. Now, Phil and Mark that were inside the chapel thought it was me. And I said, "Did you hear that voice?" And they said, "Yeah, it was you, wasn't it?" And I said, "No, I've just heard someone speaking." So we knew that something was there straight away, and it was a man's voice. Now, we did sort of discover that there was a gentleman. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. His name was John something. He was a sexton back in them days. And a sexton really is a caretaker who looked after the chapel, the mortuary, and the grounds back in the 1800s. And I believe that we did make contact with him. And I believe that picture is of that caretaker. I believe it's the caretaker.
Really?
Yeah. If you watch the episode,
no, I've watched it. Yeah, I've watched it.
I believe it's the caretaker that looked after the grounds and the chapel. And as I say, there was nothing threatening there, but we wasn't expecting to get anything like this whatsoever. I was just maybe hoping to get a few voices of the children saying, "Yeah, we're fine," giggling, laughing, but I wasn't expecting what we did capture at all.
Mate, it's a great, well, boys, it's a fantastic episode, and it literally did give me goosebumps watching it, especially towards the end of the episode. And I think anybody that's got a little bit of free time Christmas Day that wants to kind of get a little bit that shivers, get it watched, because it is a really good episode. But there's so many great episodes, and what I'm going to do, because I can't put a link to the channel, but I'm going to paste in now, just in the comment section, one of your your guys' videos. So I don't know which one I've just pasted in, but just click on the link after this show and go binge watch some episodes. Some of the episodes, I will say, are like in 2 parts. So make sure you watch the first part first before you're watching it. But I hope to work. Well, I know I'm going to work more with you guys, because I'm going to a house with you next year, and my wife is not too happy about that. But it's going to be an experience, and I've never experienced. I mean, I've experienced stuff in my mum's house, but never anything that I would say has just totally scared the living daylights out of me. And I think staying in one of those. What we're doing, Jeff? Are we pulling straws? Did you say?
Well, we're going to be putting names out of a hat to see who gets which bedroom in 30 East Drive to stay in. You know, I think probably one of the ones you don't want to get is Diane's bedroom, the young girl that was pulled up the stairs by her throat and thrown into the room where she was attacked. She was the focus of the so-called Black Monk. Yeah, I don't think I would want to get that bedroom. And also, I think because there's 4 of us, there's only 3 bedrooms. It means that one person has got to sleep downstairs on the couch.
I don't know what's worse.
And that means you're way out the way of all the other 3.
Well, I think it should be Mark, because he snores.
And no, Ollie should get downstairs, so he's down there on his own.
Stay in the coal room.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I hadn't actually thought of that, to sleep in the coal room.
Oh my God,
Ollie, coal room.
Well done, Ollie. Hey.
You've got some memory foam.
That's brilliant.
You won't be in there long enough to worry about memory foam.
He'll be out the door, I reckon. That's going to be amusing. It's going to be a good investigation.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Don't worry, Ollie. We'll look after you. You know, there is, you know, all joking aside, when we go to these places, we've been to 30 East Drive before. We know what we can expect. We do look after each other. We watch each other's backs. You know, that's as simple as that. And that is, honestly, that is seriously. We don't muck about once we get into these places that you know can be harmful. We just really do look after each other. So you've got no worries, honestly. Isn't that right, Phil?
Yeah.
Unless it's me.
Unless something kicks off, and then it's every man for himself.
Yeah.
No, we look after each other.
If anybody in the States doesn't know about this, it's the most haunted house in. Am I saying, is this right? The most haunted house in Europe, or it's got the worst poltergeist in Europe?
It's the most evil poltergeist location definitely in Europe. And just recently they've put it down as the most evil poltergeist place in the world, because I think it's simply because the paranormal experiences still carry on now to this day. So yeah,
I don't know how true to life is. I think we spoke about this briefly now, and this was going to be spoke about quite a lot in the show that got cancelled, but there is a film about it, and it's called When the Lights Went Out.
Yeah,
When the Lights Went Out. Yeah, that's the film.
That's for anybody in the States that wants to kind of get a brief history without doing a load of reading. You can kind of like.
Well, to be honest, I mean, they sent over Nick Groff out of Paranormal Lockdown, and they flew 3,000 miles to come over to this place in Pontefract, and they spent a few days there, and they caught some evidence. So, if all you guys in America, if you want to see it, look up Paranormal Lockdown 30 East Drive, the Black Monk House, and you'll be able to see the episode. And
or 2 episodes.
Yes. That's it. You need that. Well done, Mark. Well done. I'll promote the channel. Go on, Mark.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. It's that's the reason why it's now being classed as the most evil poltergeist place in Europe and the world, because it is still active today, and it's still available. Obviously for people like us to go in and investigate.
What are the 2 episodes called on your channel?
The Black Monk House, 30 East Drive. So if anyone wants to, if anyone wants to see what happened, then take a look. It was many a year ago, though. It's quite an old couple of episodes, but
but Andy, who was going to come on the show but was ill, said it was the best evidence. He's the best way anybody's ever kind of depicted it and told the history of the actual property.
Yeah, Andy Evans, who will be when we go to 30 East Drive, we will be interviewing him. He's going to come down for an interview. He's the author of the book Don't Look Back in Anger, which is the true story of how 30 East Drive became haunted. He contacted us after we'd done our investigation there and said that you guys had done your research properly. It's near enough spot on why 30 East Drive is haunted. Because he was interviewed on Paranormal Lockdown when they come over, Most Haunted, all the others, and all they did was bend the truth and make out it was something completely more dangerous, more harmful. It didn't need to be more dangerous or more harmful because it already is dangerous. Yeah. I was really pleased he called us up and said, you've got the story near and on spot on. It's absolutely brilliant research. And we've become sort of friends since then. I've not actually met him yet. We've spoken on the phone over the last few years. And when we go there, hopefully next year, he will be turning up at 30 East Drive for an interview, which will be absolutely fantastic.
Spot on. I can't wait for that, mate. Right, boys, I'm going to say good night. God bless. We'll have a discussion in the after show, if you don't mind, Phil, just for 5 minutes or so before you have to get off. But I'm going to drop you guys out. But before you go, if you just finally want to tell the guys where they can find Ghostech Paranormal.
Go on, Jeff.
Ghostech Paranormal. We're on YouTube. I guess there must be 104 episodes if you want to watch them all, and subscribe. If you just need
and the like button.
If you just need any advice, you don't have to have an investigation done or anything. People send us pictures and ask us for advice. You can do that on YouTube. And what I will do is tomorrow I'm going to bang out an email address just in case, so people can talk to us for advice if they want us to look at photographs, pieces of film. Brilliant. So tomorrow I'll stick on my email address so anyone can contact me for anything at all.
Fantastic. Thank you, boys, for all of you being here tonight. It's been spot on, and it's great to have you, the full team here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks to everybody who's listening as well.
Yeah, definitely. And
appreciate your support
and all the comments. Yeah.
I'm just gonna remove everybody from the chat, and I'll get back to you guys in a moment before when the stream ends.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, people. As always, it is always overwhelming. I love this live stuff. It's a little bit weird for me, and I know I don't quite know what I'm doing, but it's. Without you guys, I couldn't carry on with this because I'd probably just lose all motivation. Like Jeff said, with his, there's not really much reason for me to do this other than, it is my hobby. And yes, there is a Patreon channel. That's the hint. If you're interested, go check it out. Some nice drawings on there. You can have a little chat with me. But yeah, if not, just literally thumb the video up and share it out to a friend or family or whatever. That helps me out, and send me the old message. But guys, thank you so much for joining tonight. Good night. God bless. I'm Alien Addict. Mind the bugs don't bite. And have a Merry Christmas, people.